Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cha Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtapraye Shabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 61 onwards. Satchitananda Purna Krishnera Swarupa Eka Chitta Shakti Taradharati Narupa. Lord Krishna's body is eternal, Sat, full of knowledge, Chit, and full of bliss, Ananda. His one spiritual energy manifests three forms. So his one spiritual energy manifests three forms. So these three forms are Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Ananda Anshe Hladini, Sad Anshe Sandhini, Chid Anshe Chambit, Dyare Jnana Karimani. Hladini is his aspect of bliss, Sandhini of eternal existence, and Sambit or Chit of cognizance, which is also accepted as knowledge. So in his thesis, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami explains the potencies of the Lord as follows. The transcendental potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he maintains his existence, is called Sandhini. So existence maintained by Sandhini. The transcendental potency by which he knows himself and causes others to know him is called Samvit. The transcendental potency by which he possesses transcendental bliss and causes his devotees to have bliss is called Hladini. The total exhibition of these potencies is called Vishuddha Sattva. And this platform of spiritual variegatedness is displayed even in the material world when the Lord appears here. So Vishuddha Sattva is the platform of spiritual variegatedness. So the Vishuddha Sattva is even beyond Sattvagun, material Sattvagun. The pastimes and manifestations of the Lord in the material world are therefore not at all material. They belong to the pure transcendental state. So even the Lord is in the material world, but his pastimes are not material. Even his any of his pastimes, especially Ras Lila pastime, it's all transcendental. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that anyone who understands the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance, activities, and disappearance becomes eligible for freedom from material bondage upon quitting the present material tabernacle. So he says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. And one who knows that in truth, he doesn't come back to the material world. He doesn't take birth again. He can enter the spiritual kingdom to associate. He means that living entity who understands Janma Karma, Divya Janma Karma of Krishna. He can enter the spiritual kingdom to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and reciprocate the Hladini potency in transactions between him and the Lord, and reciprocate the bliss. And Prabhupada says Hladini because that is the energy for bliss. In the mundane mode of goodness, there are tinges of passion and ignorance. Therefore, mundane goodness being mixed is called Mishra Sattva. But the transcendental variegatedness of Vishuddha Sattva is completely free from all mundane qualities. Vishuddha Sattva is therefore the proper atmosphere in which to experience the personality of Godhead and his transcendental pastimes. Spiritual variegatedness is eternally independent of all material conditions and is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both being absolute. So eternally independent of material conditions. There's no tinge of material modes. The Lord and his devotees simultaneously perceive the Ladani potency directly by the power of the Samvit potency. Samvit is a knowledge-giving potency. So anything that we know is by Samvit potency, and anything that exists is by Sandhini potency. The material modes of nature control the conditioned souls, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never influenced by these modes, as all Vedic literatures directly and indirectly corroborate. Lord Krishna himself says in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sattam Rajas Tamaiti Guna Jivasya Na Eva Me, Neva Me. The material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are connected with the conditioned souls, but never with me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vishnu Puran confirms this also. Sattva Deona Santishe Yatra Na Prakrita Guna Na Sa Shuddha Sarva Shuddhebhya Pumana Adya Prasidito. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is beyond the three material modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Indeed, no material qualities exist in him. May that original person, Narayan, who is situated in a completely transcendental position, be pleased with us. So he is beyond, always he is beyond. In 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Indra praises Krishna as follows. Vishuddha sattvam tavdham shantam tapo mayam dhvasta rajastamaskam maya mayo ayam guna sampravaho na vidyate te agrihna anubandha. My dear Lord, your abode is Vishuddha Sattva, always undisturbed by the material qualities, and the activities there in the transcendental loving service unto your lotus feet. The goodness, austerity, and penance of the devotees enhance such activities, which are always free from the contamination of passion and ignorance. Material qualities cannot touch you under any circumstances. So when not manifested, the modes of material nature are said to be in goodness. When they are externally manifested and active in producing the varieties of material existence, they are said to be in passion. And when there is lack of activity and variegatedness, they are said to be in ignorance. In other words, the pensive mood is goodness, activity is passion, and inactivity, although manifested, but inactive, is ignorance. Above all these mundane qualitative manifestations is Vishuddha Sattva. When it is predominated by the Sandhini potency, it is perceivable as the existence of all that be. So Sandhini is potency for existence. When predominated by the Samvit potency, it is perceived as knowledge in transcendence. And when predominated by Ladani potency, it is perceived as the most confidential love of Godhead. So Vishuddha Sattva, the simultaneous manifestation of these three in one, is a main feature of the kingdom of God. So all we have to remember, Vishuddha Sattva, which is a transcendental, beyond the three modes, has three potencies: Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladani. Sandhini is when everything is manifested, that is through Sandhini. When Krishna knows everything, or the potency of knowledge, is Samvit, and the potency of bliss is Ladani. The absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in three energies. Now somebody can say, why the absolute truth we're talking about, and it's still energies? But there is personification of these energies. It's not just like in material world, we see energy means no form. But here also actually energy means form. When Krishna says, Bhumi Rapo Anolo Vayo Kamano Buddhi Revacha, these are all my different energies. And our bodies are made of these. Everything in the material world is made of these 8 energies. That's it. But this energy interacts in such a way that it manifests different 8,400,000 species in 3 different modes. But in spiritual world, everything is in one mode, Vishuddha Sattva, and is made of Satya, Chitta, and Ananda. That's all. Now, even in that, there are many varieties. Five rasas: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Madhurya, Vatsalya, or Vatsalya and Madhurya. These are 5 major rasas, and then there are 7 secondary rasas. So everything is manifested according to those rasas, not the material modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. There are 5 major, 7 secondary rasas. Amazing creation. The absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in 3 energies. The manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord is inconceivably variegated spiritual world. The manifestation of the marginal energy comprises the living entities, and the manifestation of the external energy is the material cosmos. Therefore, the absolute truth includes these 4 principles: the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, His internal energy, His marginal energy, and His external energy. Beyond that, there is nothing else. The form of the Lord and the expansions of His form as Swayam Rupa and Vaibhav Prakash are directly the enjoyers of the internal energy, which is the eternal exhibitor of the spiritual world, the most confidential of the manifestations of energy. Now, this Swayam Rupa and Vaibhav Prakash, we discussed little earlier and we'll discuss more when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks with Sanatana Goswami later. The external manifestation, the material energy, provides the covering bodies of the conditioned living entities from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. Of course, here is the Prabhupada says insignificant ant. Brahm Sahita calls for the insect or microorganism called Indragopa. So we all have these material bodies. This covering energy is manifested under the 3 modes of material nature and appreciated in various ways by living entities in both the higher and lower forms of life. So this covering energy, or the material energy, external manifestation, it provides the bodies that we have. And everybody in the material world has this covering, from Brahmaji down to all the demigods, all the sages in Satyaloka or Tapaloka and the Swarga planets, whoever are there, demigods, earthly planet, lower than the earthly planet, human species, lower than the human species. Everybody has this covering made of material energy. Each of the 3 divisions of the internal potency, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini energies, influences one of the external potencies by which the conditioned souls are conducted. Influences one of the external potencies. Okay. Such influence manifests the 3 qualitative modes of material nature, proving definitely that the living entities, the marginal potency, are eternally servitors of the Lord and are therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency. So each of the 3 divisions, Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini, influences one of the external potencies, means one of 3 modes of nature. And actually, Bhumi, Apu, Anulu, Vayu, all this earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, they are inert material elements. The body is made of these, so they are inert. And then live the three modes of nature, where the passion, goodness, passion, or ignorance, and depending upon which mode has more influence, I mean, there could be different permutations, combinations. So these three modes, and these three modes define that these 8 separated energies of Krishna gives us which kind of body. So every body has these 8 elements, but the modes in which these elements are interacted, they decide which body we're gonna get. Of course, they don't decide on their own, they decide depending upon our consciousness that we have developed in a given human form, and then we acted, and then the desires were that we have, and everything is recorded by Chitragupt. And then when we die, we go, then they decide which body we're going to get under which mode, which predominant mode. All 3 modes are there, whichever is predominant mode. And then we act accordingly. And this is what Prabhupada says here. So marginal potency are eternally servitors of the Lord, and are therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency. So either the 3 modes means the material energy, that's Maya, or comes under Durgaji. So either she controls or we get controlled by the internal. Sandhini, Samvit, or Ladhani. But we always remain under control. We are never independent. Such a difficult system, it seems like Krishna has created. But this is the system. Just like somebody was once speaking with me. I think I'm, everything in my life is controlled. I said, yeah, everything in human life or anybody's life is controlled, but at least in human life, we have the independence to desire. Independence of desire is still there. So everything is not controlled, just like in lower species, animals, birds, insects, everything is controlled in their life, but not in human life. No. In my life, everything is controlled. I do whatever it is decided. Well, I said, then it doesn't make sense, because in his creation, he has designed like that. That's what the scriptures teaches. So you must be beyond his creation, but nothing is beyond his creation. So it cannot happen that everything is controlled in your life. Whatever you're doing is ordained by Krishna. Not possible. He did not design it this way. Haladini Sandhini Samvit, Tvai Eka Sarva Sanstito, Halada Tap Kari Mishra, Tvai no Guna Varjite. O Lord, you're the support of everything. The 3 attributes, Ladini, Sandhini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes, which cause happiness, misery, and mixture of the 2, do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. So this text is from Vishnu Puran. Sandhanira Sharahansha Shuddha Sattana Bhagavanera Sattahaya Yahate Vishram. The essential portion of the Sandhini potency is Shuddha Sattva. Lord Krishna's existence rests upon it. Mata Pita Sthanagreha Shayasana Ei Sabha Krishnera Shuddha Sattva Vika. Krishna's mother, father, abode, housing, bedding, seats, and so on are all transformations of Shuddha Sattva, especially the Sandhini potency part. Because that is a manifestation of Sandhini takes care of the existence. Lord Krishna's father, mother, and household affairs are all displayed in the same Vishuddha Sattva existence. A living entity situated in the status of pure goodness can understand the form, qualities, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in the status of pure goodness, can understand, pure or beyond, the living entity. But that's why when people start making comments or discussing about Krishna, Krishna's form, pastimes, rupa, name, everything, it doesn't make sense because they don't understand. Krishna or Ram or Narasimha, they don't understand it. Krishna consciousness begins on the platform of pure goodness. We talk about, oh, we are devotees and we call each other pure devotee, you are pure devotee. Yeah, Prabhupada, Krishna consciousness begins at the platform of pure goodness. We are just struggling to be devotees, that's all. Although there is a faint realization of Krishna at first, Krishna is actually realized as Vasudeva, the absolute proprietor of omnipotence, or the prime predominating deity of all potencies, only at pure goodness plan. When the living entity is situated in Vishuddha Sattva, transcendental to the three material modes of nature, he can perceive the form, qualities, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? Through his service attitude. The status of pure goodness is the platform of understanding, for the Supreme Lord is always in spiritual existence. Wow. When the living entity is situated in Vishuddha Sattva, transcendental to the three modes of material nature, he can perceive the form, qualities, and other features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? Through the service attitude, not enjoying attitude, not in the controlling attitude, service attitude. And in the Vishuddha Sattva platform, not even in material modes, then when he does service, in the service attitude, he can understand. Sounds like a mission impossible. Krishna is always all spiritual. Aside from the parents of the personality of Godhead, all the other paraphernalia of his existence are also essentially a manifestation of Sandhini Shakti, or a transformation of Vishuddha Sattva. To make this more clear, it may be said that this Sandhini Shakti of the internal potency maintains and manifests all the variegatedness of the spiritual world. In God's kingdom, his servants and maidservant, his consorts, his father and mother, and everything else are all transformations of the spiritual existence of Sandhini Shakti. The existential Sandhini Shakti, the external potency, remains, similarly expands all the varieties of the material cosmos, from which we can have a glimpse of the spiritual field. But only when we are in that level to understand, then we can have that glimpse. And also this existence or everything's manifestation, especially not the parents or other associates, especially the paraphernalia of Krishna, like his bedding, his slippers, his flute, his clothes, his jewels, everything that is used in service of Krishna is expansion of Balramji. This is how Balramji serves him in that mode. Of course, he serves him in all rasas, but so this manifestations, when we talk about of everything, his spiritual world, it's all expansions of Balramji. So wherever Krishna goes, like when he comes as Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, Balramji appears as Sheshnag to serve him. As his slippers, this is all expansion of Balramji. So that is also one of the reasons we have to be very, very careful, and all the things that are used for the service of Krishna, they're all expansion of Balramji. Mridanga, Kartan. In the temple, the altar that he sits on, that the deities are standing on, it's expansion of Balramji. That is why the pujaris, when they go on the altar to dress or do any service on the altar, they put a cloth on those steps first before they step on it, because it's Balramji. So this is the mode of Balramji. This is how he wants to serve Krishna. So what should be our mode then? How much we should be eager to serve him in any way and every way. And this is where Prabhupada is writing, when he can perceive the form, a living entity, perceive the form, qualities, and other features of Krishna through his service attitude. And service attitude, when it pleases Krishna, then by Krishna's mercy, whatever way or to whatever extent he wants to reveal himself, he will reveal himself. So wonderful purports, and obviously this needs many, many times reading, so we can pray to Prabhupada to at least give us some understanding of these purports. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and spiritual, wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.